Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Kathy Tarchioni. I'm the producer of the Inspector Bark Show. And before we begin the show, we want to give a disclaimer here for anyone that is going to be talking negatively or bashing or name calling. We do, in fact, realize that what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to ban you from the show. So we ask you to have complete courtesy of everyone that is going to be mentioned in the show. Today we're going to be uncovering some rogue rescues, and some are not going to like it. And we do understand that, but that's what the show is about. So without further ado, let me introduce you to your host, Darcy Butkus.
Thank you, Kathy. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are tuning in from. Thank you. I am Darcy Butkus, and I am Inspector Bark, a licensed private investigator here in the state of Georgia, and I own my own detective agency. Please go to my Inspector Bark Facebook page, and you will see my license number there, right pinned at the top. And if you see my dogs walk by, that's my co-producers, in addition to Kathy, my Ricky and Lucy. And they may walk in and out, but he's angry at me because I should be outside with him, but that's okay. We've got a great show in store for you. And Kathy, I believe we're probably going to have at least maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours of this.
Well, we're ready to go. And if I have to go to the bathroom, I'll just go out of the picture for a little while. But we do have, now the last show that we had a wonderful, wonderful guest, and she has agreed to be on the show again. So for those of you that, if you remember from the last show, she did not show her face, and there is a particular reason for that. So without further ado, we will introduce Karen to the show. Hi, Karen.
Hi, good morning from Alaska.
Good morning. And if you wouldn't mind, Karen, would you give a little background again of who you are and why it's important for you to be on this show?
Absolutely. I am a communication specialist. I'm qualified to analyze language, and my family and I, unfortunately, are victims of rogue rescue. The issue came to our attention, and when we found we were not alone, we decided to get involved and do something about it. So I have taken time to extensively study the communication styles of these non-typical rogue rescues.
Okay, excellent. Well, Darcy, do you want to? I'm going to be talking about one of the rogue rescues here in my area, and we'll start with that, and then we're going to go into a number of some pretty horrific things that have happened over the last 2 weeks, for sure.
You got that right.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I said you got that right. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just switched over to the comments because I'm paying attention to who is posting. I recognize some of the names, and I just want to say thank you to all. And hey, Jamie, thank you so much. Hi, Michelle. We're going to have, just so you know, Kathy and Karen, I think we're going to have people from all over the country. Karen, you informed me that I even got up into Canada. So this is really important for everybody to pay attention, take notes. Our producer, Kathy, is going to be posting a lot of stuff that you will see on the screen. As many of you know me, I've done blog talk radio. You've never actually seen me. Hopefully in the near future, we will maybe be able to have people call in. That's Kathy's call, not mine. But I'm just so grateful for Kathy and her team. And just thank you to all of you supporting me. I will say that many of you have sent me private messages, thanking me to speak up for the animals. That's what I do. I know so many of you are afraid because of the ramifications and the repercussions. We get it. So just so you know, Kathy's very strict about following the rules. So if you just got blocked, so you just ruined it for yourself. So we're going to listen. Yeah. I mean, these people, I guess they don't learn, to listen. So Go ahead, Kathy, you go first, and then we'll go ahead from there.
Okay. All right. Well, as you know, one of our main concerns in the past has been, or what we have identified, is that there are some rogue rescues, and we call them the mean girls, the mean girl rogue rescues. And the reason is because sometimes you have these rescues that feel that it's okay to bash other rescues or to do things that are not really very not really very ethical. So the first one we want to expose is one that's in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and the name of the group is Cherish Canine. Now, Cherish Canine is an organization that is a foster-based 501c3. And when we look at some of the things that rogue rescues do is we find that they're totally really not very transparent. So if we were to go to their about page, you'll see on here that nowhere is the name of the person who's responsible. Now, let me ask you, Karen, in a rogue rescue atmosphere, why would someone not want to give their name of their 501c3? Who is the contact person? Why wouldn't they want to do that?
Because essentially they do not want people looking into their nonprofit status or contacting them with issues. So they're trying to avoid contact related to issues or background checking into the rescue to see if it is legitimate.
Okay. All right. The next area is when you go to an application, you go to an online application. And unfortunately, online applications that are in Google Docs don't really allow, let me get rid of this, don't really allow you to be able to see what information you're actually putting in. So that's another sign. You see there's no blog here either, which means you're not keeping the community. There's no success stories about what has gone on in terms of adoptions, and you don't see anything about adoptions. Then you go into the available dog areas here, and you see this where it says under construction. Available dogs, we're currently not posted, and our volunteer is trying her best to get them updated. This has been up for 6 months, so this has not been updated at all. Then you go in and you see some of these. They are supposedly in foster, and they're supposedly up for adoption. Now I realize that some fosters, this foster has been there since 2015. So that's what, 7 years, 8 years? Now, if this dog were ill or something, we get that. So then it should be a permanent foster in that home, and it shouldn't be up for adoption. So if it is, this should be taken down. So it's those kind of things that really, really kind of really bother us. The other area is, and I want to put this, let's see, we got 24 comments here. Whole bunch of people here.
And let me just jump in, Kathy. Ellen Madison is a great animal advocate. I recognize her name. Karen, you should as well. She's been helping Ellen Madison, if you can hear me, with returnluke.com Facebook page. So thank you so much for spreading the word. It's people like you, Ellen Madison, that we need on our side. We need you to be on the side of the animals. And thank you so much, Ellen. Thank you. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Kath.
That's okay. That's okay.
I recognize a lot of the names, so I will help you out.
Right. Okay. So here, what we'd like to do is let you see who Carla Baker is, so that should you be involved with her, you'll see that this is Carla Baker. And Carla, by the way, in terms of her taking care of animals, she's one of the ones that you would call, Karen, that you would call a people hater, because she has gotten very, very involved in helping dogs that are loose. She's good at catching them. But what I'm seeing here, what I really don't want to do is say that what she's done is a terrible thing. What I'd like to be able to say is that these are the things that you should be correcting, Carla, so that you don't come across as an unethical rescue. And I'll give you an example here. There was a transport that went out, I guess it was a couple of months ago, and it went to Helen Woodward in California. It was in this area, and the transporter who was helping with doing the logistics and getting things together, she was working with a rescue called I'm Almost Home. That particular rescue apparently fostered some of their dogs to Cherish Canine, and it was puppies. Well, when the transporter came in, and they were looking it over. They didn't realize that Cherish Canine had been a foster, and that's something that should have been disclosed by Almost Home, but it wasn't. When the transport went to California, turns out that the puppies had parvo.
Oh my.
And rather than Carla speaking up and Cherish Canine speaking up, they allowed Almost Home to take the brunt for it. So they were blocked from the transport, and the logistics organization, they were blocked as well from transporting. Carla should have spoken up and said, this was me, this was mine, but she didn't. That to me is unethical. What do you think on that, Karen?
I absolutely agree. Parvo is so highly contagious, and it has the potential to wipe out entire animal populations. So yes, that's another sign of a rogue rescue, not taking responsibility, and then this lack of transparency. And also, you mentioned the people hating. That is an absolute red flag. People are the ones who adopt and foster the dogs. If we hate people in rescue, how are we possibly going to manage these animals? It just doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's
exactly. Okay, so then another area here, which is the last area, and then we'll go into the next segment, transport. Carla arranged for a transport, and I realized that her vehicle broke down, and she apparently had a large transport, and it was going to Minneapolis, which is about 1,500 miles away from Las Cruces, so it's a long trip. She reached out to the community and said, I need a transport. She couldn't find one. She couldn't get a rental van because rental vans will not allow you to transport live animals. So somehow, some way, this vehicle showed up, and it was being driven by two novice transporters that really didn't know what they were doing, and they were in some kind of a rental vehicle as far as I know, and the animals were in wire cages with bungee cords. Some of them were 3 to a cage. They went 1,500 miles.
Oh my.
And it took them 30 hours. Now, when questioned what happened to these animals, where are they, etc., you'll see here that over here, down below there's 3 to a cage there. When asked, and now Carla puts here, she puts a van full of dogs left this afternoon with their new lives in Minnesota. They have a long drive ahead of them, but they will be in their forever homes very soon. Thank you to all the fosters. Then she puts that the update, our dogs made it to Minneapolis. It ended up being 30 hours. And then she started getting, if you see here, there was reviews on her Facebook page. Those reviews are no longer available, which is another red flag. Why would you take your reviews down? That's the community knows what you're doing. So Kathy Klein apparently put in a recommendation that wasn't good. And Carla had responded, well, you're just trolling. You're just trolls. Get off the page. Another one wanted to know that you don't put these size dogs in the same crate. Plus, they wanted to know, were you licensed and registered with the USDA? Apparently not. From what I understand, she's been reported to the USDA. That we have to check into. Now, they're also saying that 1,500 miles, did they stop? Did they water? Did they feed? Did they let them go to the bathroom? What happened? Because with 2 people going 1,500 miles, you know they didn't do that in one day. And if they did, really? Okay, 30 hours? Okay, and 30 hours without them getting out and going to the bathroom? That's not good. Right. And then Carla blocked them. So that's another red flag. You don't block people on a rescue site if they're coming up with things, you try and work it out with them, which leads me to communication skills.
Right.
If you don't have good communication with those people that are adopting, as well as with your fosters, as well as with your volunteers, then you really shouldn't be in the rescue business. And I understand that it's difficult to get fosters and volunteers. So by God, you should be able to provide them with a list of requirements, responsibilities, be there. Do we know whether Carla follows up with the fosters? Is she there looking, or are they like typical fosters? I mean, typical rescues where out of sight, out of mind. Once the rescue is taken care, once the rescue transfers to a foster, how often do they deal with them? And does the rescue have standards of care for their transport? Is that put into place? There should be minimum of a parvo, distemper, and giardia test done, even if it's a SNAP, done prior to and even during the transport, and definitely before they even get there. So if that wasn't done, who knows? And I guess my biggest gripe more than anything is accountability, responsibility, transparency, and providing proper data to the community about how you're running your operation. If you have something to hide, then that's a big red flag. Okay.
Absolutely. So, and Kathy, the fact that, again, she's shutting down the comments, she's not willing to discuss the details of these transports in particular that appear quite unacceptable. We need regulation, obviously, for transporting. If it's not acceptable to do this on an airline, it doesn't seem that it should be acceptable to do it in a van.
Good point. And let me interject. Kathy, if you could kindly go back to that picture of the dogs crammed in the vehicle. Can you bring that back up for me? While she's looking for that, this is what I call, ladies and gentlemen, underground dog trafficking operation. Let's stop right there. Okay. If you look at the screen, the bottom right where it says +10.
Right.
Above that, are there 3 dogs sitting there? I'm going to look on my
to the left over here. By the way, all of these pictures have all been removed from the Cherish Canine website. Of course they are.
Of course they are. Of course. But thank God for screenshots. Yeah. And if you all recognize the name Kathy Klein, she's part of our team who also wrote a bad review regarding the subject I'm going to talk about in that particular rescue. But let's go back and let's look at this picture. This so-called transport originated from where?
Las Cruces,
New Mexico.
New Mexico, right. And it was a ground transport in a rented vehicle transported by unlicensed, unprofessionals, untrained transporters.
Okay. Well, that's exactly what I'm looking at.
And because of the cross-contamination, you don't put it in wire crates. They don't go in wire crates with bungee cords. I mean, the cross-contamination is very, very high. There could be fighting in between those.
Kathy, you're absolutely right, Karen, but let me expand on this. So you've got dogs that are stuffed, shoved, and crammed in a vehicle that these poor dogs are not being let out. There's no way in heck they're taking each one of these dogs to properly walk them, let them stretch their feet. So what are they doing? They're probably defecating on each other. Some of these dogs suffer from anxiety for driving. They're probably throwing up. They're probably having convulsions. This shows me right here. This reminds me back to last May of 2020, when you all know that 48 dogs originated in Arizona to head up to where? Canada, okay? 48 dogs were stuffed, shoved, and crammed in the back of a U-Haul. A back of a U-Haul. Think about it. Isn't a U-Haul used for storage?
Yeah, and there's no windows. There's no windows.
Proper ventilation.
The dog rescue page, Inspector Bark, and everybody else that spoke the truth of what occurred came under fire, okay? Sadly, the transporters were from a so-called rescue out of Phoenix, Arizona. They died upon impact in Idaho. I think it was in Idaho. Correct me if I'm wrong, gang, if you're listening. But here's what really upsets me. 16 approximately animals. When they crashed, they fell over a little bit of an embankment, okay? 16 animals were found dismembered, torn apart, scattered all over the highway. Other dogs ran out of fare and got hit by a car. You don't think that's underground dog trafficking operation? And the people that were supporting this so-called rescue in Phoenix thought they were wonderful. Why? Because they were pulling all these dogs out of a high kill shelter. Now, I spoke to some credible people in Arizona. Many people reached out to me. These particular certain dogs did have homes to go to in the local area. Why the hell are all these dogs going from Arizona, look at your map, people, all the way to Canada? Why are these dogs going from New Mexico in those conditions? These people need to be reported. I was on a conference call about a month ago with 2 other people of my team and the USDA head vet. And until we take action, people, the true animal lovers out there, the advocates, the activists, you've got to report these people. And if they come at you, you can deal with it, okay? I get it all the time. It doesn't faze me because these people are the bad people doing bad things to animals in rescue. A lot of people come to me behind the scenes. Help us out. I get it from Karen from Alaska, people in Texas. There's a team out there. I'll talk about that rescue in a minute. That's under the radar. But you've got to get the local officials involved. You got to get the state officials involved, and you got the federal. There's only one of me and a few couple people that do help me, and we do this on our own time and dime. And we're going to talk about that and where we're moving to the next level.
Darcy,
so go ahead, Karen.
I think these rogue rescues should be very aware. We are becoming involved internationally. And as far as the Canadian border goes, I'd like to announce we will be monitoring that. We have connections who are interested in doing exactly what we do. They want to see the importing of dogs in this manner stop, and they are willing to work with border control over this. So I think that's an important factor to mention. The people who are assisting us are not just in this country, they're also in Canada.
And you know, another good point too is Darcy, you and I have a mutual friend, Lynn Gerber, who is in Colorado, and she's really involved in a huge initiative to make certain that any rescues that are going to transport into the state of Colorado are going to be very scrutinized. They will not be able to just go in there because parvo, distemper, giardia, so much is going on right now that they have to make certain that the disease is not entering their state, and it's just not fair to transport unless you know that that's another thing too. If that vet signs a health certificate, that means that vet has said, I've tested this dog, or the cat, I've tested this animal, and this animal is clear to be transported. So the onus is on the vet as well. And a lot of people don't put the onus on the vet. They say, oh, well, it's the rescue's fault. Is it really? Don't you depend on it? And even if you have standards of care in place and those standards of care are not adhered to, but you believe they are, because after all, it's the vet that signed off on it. If a rescue gets a dog that has parvo or something, is it whose responsibility is it to cover those costs? Is it the ones that received it? Because they were receiving it with the understanding that that animal came in good health.
Let's talk about the USDA for a minute, okay? These people that are crossing state lines with animals, and we're talking about these dogs, they need to be registered with the USDA. They need to have that number on the side of their vehicle. And these underground dog trafficking operations are not doing that. So when I call it underground, it is underground. So for Cherish Canine to be doing that and transporting dogs like that, you know what? I do put her in my hall of shame. And shame on you, Carla Baker. That is not the way for these poor animals to be transported. And it's happening a lot, okay? It's happening a lot, and we've got to catch them. And people, you've got to report it. And this is where I need, and we're working on this, and Kathy, I don't know if you have the time to put up the brochure that we're going to be disseminating to animal welfare organizations, the brochure that I created with the help of friends and family that we're going to be sending out with a welcome letter about what I do, Inspector Bark, and my team. I can't do this alone. And what we do need now, thanks to animalvictory.org, who gave us some guidance, animalvictory.org. I know, Kathy, you'll get their Facebook page or their link up.
Right. Yeah. Let me.
Take your time. I'm gonna talk about it while you take your time and find it. They are a terrific company, people. Animalvictory.org. They work their fannies off trying to seek justice and punishment for any animal abuser in our country, whether it's a horse, a cow, a guinea pig, a dog. They are wonderful. And you see their petitions all the time. Sign them, share them. And you know what? They do ask for a $2 donation or a $5. Give if you can. They are not a 501c3. And when you do go to their Facebook page or their website, they are totally transparent. This is a good group of women trying to make a difference for these animals. I want to make a difference along with my team, who will remain nameless. And yes, there are other people that do work the dog rescue page, okay? A lot of these people think I run it. No. I was a primary admin. I have stepped aside because of my detective agency, and I do consult with attorneys that actually do pay me. So I am getting a paycheck here and there. Let me just emphasize something. This is important, you guys, for anybody that believes in my cause and the people that are helping me. Hours and hours of taking screenshots, and I'm looking at an external monitor. Every time I'm looking over here, I'm watching the comments as well, and I'm responding. We need funding. This is why I'm putting my brochure together, and we're going to mail it to organizations that really believe in the animals. Look at Subaru, the dealership. They love animals. They need to be told that not all rescues are in it for the welfare of the animals. Not all of them, okay? Right. And we're seeing a lot of these people, these fly-by-nights that are becoming a 501c3, and I partially blame the IRS for giving every Tom, Dick, and Harry the status of a 501c3. If you go and do a deep dive on some of these individuals, you're going to find some very interesting backgrounds. They try to shut me up because they know I don't back down. I am a woman with a backbone made of titanium. I have broad shoulders. Okay, maybe just stainless steel. Broad shoulders, and I got that big mouth to blow that whistle, and I'm going to blow it. And I always say, if my own mother or my own children abuse, neglect, abandon a dog, an animal, abuse a child, I will report you myself. And I don't understand how all these rogue rescues and their little clique of people stick up for each other. It's like, and I say it, and if any of you are offended that are listening, I'm sorry. I'm going to say it like I am. Like I say it, I'm totally transparent. I don't use that term, birds of a feather flock together. I use scum attracts scum, liars stick with liars. I am originally from South Florida. I do now live in North Georgia. I do also own a home still in Florida. Yes, I am married. No, I'm not divorced. I am still married. A lot of people like to spread rumors about me. I don't care what you think. I love the fact that those that love me, thank you. Those that like me, thank you. Those that hate me, I don't give a damn about you. Because if you're not in it for the animals, then shame on you. And for all of you sticking up for what is so blatantly obvious in the case I'm going to talk about next, you are part of the problem.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now do we want to go into the latest news that happened? Let's start with that and then let's backtrack, okay? Let's do that. Let's go here. What happened here now, Darcy? And I know that, Karen, you had a lot to do with this too.
Karen, go ahead. Why don't you go ahead, Karen? You speak, if you can.
This is a case that has garnered so much attention. Essentially, a person who is trying to be denied as an employee of a particular rescue acted as a hoarder, and we believe it was known by the other members of the rescue. Numerous cats were found dead in this woman's apartment and they had cannibalized each other because they were starving.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
House of Horrors. More than 60 cats found alive, some dead in Sunrise Home. I'm going to put some of these links here, folks, because I think it's important that you guys see what's going on. I'm sorry, Karen, go ahead.
The issue is that obviously the abuse and neglect is horrific, but the response of the rescue involved or rescues is also horrific and inexcusable. And as we analyze their communication, they certainly qualify as the mean girls. There's a lot of shame, blame shifting going on. And what is catching everyone's attention is the fact that there are screenshots demonstrating that they're not telling the truth. So we have a situation that has resulted in arrests. And Darcy would like to fill from here.
Yes. So we've got two individuals that were arrested last night. This Micheline Toulouse, I think, as you pronounce it. She goes by Micheline Joy on Facebook, along with her boyfriend. And I don't know if you can pull up the mugshot on this character.
Oh, wait,
yeah, well, we'll get to her in a minute. There's Micheline Joy. That's her Facebook page. She was going out into the community and going to trap cats and saving the day for these cats. And it looks like apparently that these cats were going into a hellhole, basically, in Sunrise, Florida, which is just west of Fort Lauderdale. That is her mugshot. And I know if you go to the Dog Rescue Bad and Ugly page if you can, and you will see that we posted the boyfriend of this Micheline. And I don't understand how people who worked closely with her, she lived at this rescue, and she didn't live there just for a day or two, okay? We are getting tremendous amount of intel from people that want to remain anonymous. You will remain anonymous, people. You can send a private message to the Bad and the Ugly, or you can send a private message to Inspector Bark. These people, I believe, definitely knew what was going on. If you go back, Kath, and put up Jessica's Facebook profile picture.
Okay.
She's the one that did the video on her partner, Cassandra Lee D. Cassandra, it's been told to us, lives part-time in Canada. We believe, in my opinion, she's a ringleader. Jessica, we've been told, is like her puppet. She just does what this Cassandra tells her. And then you've got the criminal, who is this Micheline Joy, real name Micheline Toulouse, who is doing the trapping of these animals and sending them to their death. Okay, your partners, and you're creating these fundraisers left and right in conjunction with, it's all right there, guys. The proof is right there on the Bad and Ugly. Take the time to read it yourself. She would create these fundraisers in conjunction with Saving Sage Animal Rescue Foundation, which is in Broward Boulevard in Broward County, where this so-called animal hospital is, where Micheline was living. And not for a couple days. She was living there, from what we've been told, for several months. So stop with the lies. Your followers may want to believe you, but I call them Kool-Aid drinkers. Because they, I mean, we say it. And you know, we talk about this as a team. These are Kool-Aid drinkers that are wearing rose-colored glasses, and they have the blinders on. And they're just told what they're told, and they believe it. Now, there is some deep information that we're getting that proves to me that all these people played a hand in it, okay? They let her be the scapegoat, and I'm talking about Micheline, okay? They knew that she would do whatever it would take because she was bringing in the money. She was bringing in the cats. We're a rescue. I want to know where that cat is. Did that cat get vetted? Did that cat go to a foster home? Everybody plays, oh, I don't know anything. Really? Really?
Well, see, that's the transparency issue.
Right.
If you were if you were to come forward and say, okay, I'll be happy to talk about it, it's those that want to remain silent because, oh, I don't want to get involved, because they're the ones that are doing things behind everyone's back.
Well, they put on a good facade, you guys, and this is where Karen, you can touch on. Karen, you mentioned it. They are masters of manipulating. They're masters of manipulating the truth, and it's sad that there's really so many gullible people out there. Why do you think we have a scamming industry in the billions? Okay, and I'm not just talking animal rescue. I'm talking the IRS scam. This is, in my opinion, a major scam operation that needs to be busted wide open. So any of you that want to, go to your little clique, let's go back and let's look at all those pictures of how those cats had to live to survive, eating off of each other. And you support this? And these people knew? She's caught on camera with her thug boyfriend, this one, guys with no shirt on, okay, grabbing a cigarette in the office of this saving sage. I mean, how does this happen?
Right.
And then allegedly, people are saying that she was caught on camera having sex with these guys.
Oh my gosh, really?
Well, she was living there. Now, here's another thing. Let's talk about what occurred in Sunrise with what occurred the day they went in there, okay? You have to treat, and I'm no expert, but I have been boots on the ground. I've been to a situation down in South Georgia with Claudine Wilkins, who's animal law source, along with Victoria Stillwell. If anybody doesn't know Victoria Stillwell, you should. She's excellent, excellent dog trainer, excellent dog behaviorist. The four of us, along with a canine officer, drove 4 hours down to a situation with German Shepherds that occurred in 2019. It was horrific. Unfortunately, we were at one location, which the people didn't know what the hell they were doing, and we were just there as volunteers. It was my first time boots on the ground, but I was with experienced people. Then in the other section in Candler County, which Kathy's going to show my favorite guy, Sheriff John Miles, when you have it.
I got.
I'll keep talking.
Okay,
John
there
Miles,
he is.
Yeah, keep that up for a second. I love this man. I met him in May of 2019. Maybe it was June of 2019. He does not tolerate animal abusers, okay? He does not. He treated the location in Candler County, his jurisdiction, where all these German Shepherds went. Google Angela Belinda Powell, people. Angela Belinda Powell in Georgia. This occurred in 2019. The conditions were horrific. Our own Georgia Department of Ag turned a blind eye, refused to even take any complaints. This is a problem we have, not only in my state, nationwide. This guy just arrested another animal abuser, and we'll get into that in maybe part 3. So John Miles knows about all these German Shepherds. He calls in the professionals. He calls in the proper animal control officers to handle the job, because he's treating it like what? A crime scene.
Right.
So each dog that came off that property that they confiscated, they seized, what do you have to do? You have to document, you have to take pictures on all different angles. I watched it go down. It was amazing. You have a vet on the premises. You have a prosecuting attorney on the premises. They had white tents set up. So they were all these stages. Okay. You take a dog off. It's considered what? Evidence. You don't leave the grounds until you do your proper documentation and all that. What happened here in Sunrise is a damn joke. I want to know where the hell Broward Animal Care and Control were. Rumor has it that they came and they left. Where were the proper authorities to do the proper investigation?
Right.
You don't tell me that these people that went in there, who are so-called rescues, and you'll see them on the actual news station, they're not experienced in handling this. They're not experienced in documenting, tagging. This is evidence. And so help me God, if we lose this case and this Michelin walks away free, along with the other ones that I think are involved, what a damn shame for our animals.
Now, wasn't there something about that I saw that Michelin actually has a 501c3 for the love of something or another. I forgot what it was, and she wrote a check for $25,000. Am I misrepresenting that, or wasn't
No, you're
that
not.
somewhere?
No, you're
Okay,
not. And that was all exposed. And we are still wondering. Love for Ferals wrote a check for
that was it. Yeah.
$25,000. It's all in the bad and ugly. If you can pull that picture up of the screenshot of the Facebook page of the bad and ugly, Kath, when you have time. All the documentation is on there, you guys. It's all there. There's a $25,000 check that was written by, the scribble is Michelin Joy for $25,000. And now we also have confirmation that she wrote another check to the same rescue organization. So Gina, founder of Animal Rescue, we're asking you questions. We're asking you questions.
No, here,
where are the answers?
Yeah, I have a question on that, because in reading everything, I see what you're talking about. It's very confusing because they're saying that she's a volunteer. Well,
Right.
how do you be a volunteer if you're a 501c3? Either you're a rescue or you're a volunteer. Volunteers don't have rescues. So what is it? Which is it? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, and you know what? I can't confirm, and I haven't looked at it. If she was an actual 501c3, I don't want to misquote myself, but no, there was a website, Love for Ferals. She went out there along with her partners. Let's pull those names up again. This Jessica and this Cassandra, both are partners. Okay,
Cassandra.
This one right here, and there's no denying it. And don't tell me that they didn't know what the hell she was doing.
Right.
If they're coming across saying that, in my opinion, you, Jessica, you're ignorant. Cassandra, you're just as ignorant. And you know what?
Right.
I have no tolerance for people like this because I smell a cover-up.
Oh, and I see that she's got her own donate.
Yeah. Oh, did you? Isn't that nice? Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Donate for what? Donate for what?
And then when you ask them, which we did, do you work outside of the rescue? I was accused of being a bully on their page, on the Cassandra video. I personally asked, and then people started sending me private messages. Thank you so much. So I ask legitimate questions, and they come back with a snarky comment. They call you a bully. So am I a bully just because I'm exposing the truth? Let me tell you what I think what happens with these rogue rescues. Okay. This is what, and I write it down because I want to memorize it. Mm-hmm. I think what they see is all these donations coming in. They know how to pull on the heartstrings of these people. And you know what? The general public, they have good hearts. They want to believe the best in people. And when they hear the word rescue, they think, oh, wonderful, applause. When I hear the word rescue, the back of my hair on my neck stands up because I've been doing this for 12 years. Okay.
Well, I think Karen can really speak to rogue rescues, that's for sure. And she did the last show we were on, we had so many people that didn't really realize what really happens. And, you know, one thing, Darcy, that you had pointed out, that there's rogue rescues that work together in some cases, but there are a lot of rogue rescues that don't work together, and they backstab each other, and they ruin it they lose sight of what the purpose is and what the passion is and the goal, which is to help the animals.
And this is why, wait, before you, and let me piggyback onto what you said, Kathy, before Karen, didn't mean to interrupt. I say this, and I wrote this down, and I feel that these people that use the backs of animals, okay, are emotionally detached, yes, completely removed, and totally desensitized. They now look at that animal as not a living, breathing creature. They see that animal as a financial pawn to get money from the general public. Go ahead, Karen. Go ahead.
Yes, we are talking about, when we talk about these rogue rescues, we are not talking about people who are psychologically intact. They are to communicate clearly in ways that are not acceptable for people. So we see a lot of name calling, bullying, obfuscation. Those are the types of things that they engage in with human beings. They're using animals often to replace a loss if they are a hoarder. And hoarders have formed attachments to animals sometimes, not always, that replace human interaction. So they will not likely interact with the people who are coming to the rescue in an appropriate manner. And we begin to see that pattern play out over and over in these rogue rescues.
And do you find, Karen, and do you find that the hoarding situations, that once they have the animals with them, they really don't want them to go up for adoption?
No, they don't. They do it reluctantly. They're very reluctant in placing the animals, and oftentimes they will have clauses in their contracts that continue to allow them either to take the animal back or to manipulate. For instance, we have a cat rescue in Alaska that requires pictures of the animals every 3 weeks. Every 3 weeks for the duration of even adopting this animal, you are required to submit pictures to this rescue. Well, that's really just not a normal request. We see many things like this, and it's the personality type that is determining, honestly, whether the rescue is normal or whether it's rogue. And the rogue rescues will fight other rescues. They will cause disagreements and arguments, and they will attack legitimate rescues also. And that is part, again, of their personality issues.
Karen, you are so spot on, and I know, Kathy, you can.
Oh my God, I'm going absolutely nuts with this, because just I certainly have been experiencing personally in where I live, the rescues working against each other. You know, in Las Cruces, there's one really good rescue that does everything right. They work with the fosters. They're totally transparent. What a great example. I don't understand why they can't all work together. I just don't understand that.
I can speak to that.
Okay.
We posted on our page, Stop Animal Rescue Frauds, Alaska and Beyond, Scams, excuse me, Alaska and Beyond, an article from the Psychiatric Times. And this is not a new article. Psychiatry has been analyzing hoarding for quite a while. And one of the things that makes these hoarders stick out is that they feel they are the only ones who can save the animal. So we have this messiah complex, and that is an absolute red flag. And of course, if you feel you are the only one who can save the animals, therefore the rest of the rescues are bad, and they engage in arguments and fights with these other rescues.
And those are the people haters, right, Karen?
Yes, absolutely. Those are the people haters, and you'll see it in their language and their posts. Do we get discouraged with the behavior of people related to animals? Absolutely, we do. However, there's a big difference between out and outright people hating. And you will see people hating posts from these hoarder rogue rescues over and over and over again. And you'll see some folks engage with that. And the problem is, the public is not recognizing these as red flags. If these rescues are fighting with each other because they have a messiah complex, and if they are posting people hate, we should be running away, not donating. This is not a safe place for an animal. What would make you think someone who acted this way in public toward people wouldn't act inappropriately in private toward an animal? Come on, folks.
And let me just interject, because along with some of my team members, we again do a deep dive. I look into their background. I want to know what makes these people tick. A lot of them have had liens against them. A lot of them have bankruptcy. They don't hold a job. Some of them have criminal backgrounds, interesting court dockets. We're trying to get our hands on something right now that the team's working on. So these people put on a really good front. They're very good at convincing the people that are their donators. And it's sad because they will align themselves with the other bad rogue rescues. I'm all for reputable rescues working together. Reputable rescues do work together. Okay. But when you have a rogue rescue that wants to come and attack a reputable rescue, whether it's a cat rescue or a dog, that's a red flag, you guys. And for them to go on such a vicious attack, relentless. I love that saying. And Kathy, I'm going to continue talking. If you can look up the purple sign.
Yeah, I got it. Here it is.
I love that. And Kathy, go ahead and read that.
Okay, this is the more effective you are, the more they will come after you. Never stay silent.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. That is so true. And I get personal attacks. I don't care what they think of me. But what I do care is people that don't take their own time to do their own homework. I got a notification the other day. Now, over this past weekend, I had family in, I had friends over, I was entertaining, but I was trying to help the team work this case. And we had other people come and help regarding the bad and rescue page, bad and ugly. But what they'll do is they'll come on and they'll attack, they'll send you private messages, they'll threaten you if you're speaking up for the animals. These are not good people. Right. And don't let them intimidate you, people. Don't do that. This is why our voices need to be heard. We need to be the voice for these animals. But it's interesting because I do know the crowd in Florida. I know them very well. And a lot of them that are sticking up are just as bad. So, getting back to that case where shame on Broward Animal Care and Control, and I hope the mayors in every municipality in Broward County wants to know why they're even giving money if they're not going to go out there and do the investigation. I've been told by a credible source that I've known for many years that Broward Animal Care and Control, the new director, forgive me, I don't know her. She's probably, in my opinion, just as useless as the one that just left, Laura Lee.
Why don't you say it like it is?
Well, Kath, you're getting to know me, honey.
Yeah.
She was awful, in my opinion. And you got to say in my opinion, because I'm sure I'll get the cease and desist letters. I can't wait. And I'll post them on Facebook. I'm sick and tired of these people taking advantage of good, kind-hearted people. But here's what I want to say. Please, people, I do have a PayPal, and I will post any donation that you believe in my cause, and I will post it, redact your name, or whatever, because I have other people that I want to share that with. So we need funding. Thank you, Jamie. That's sweet. Thank you, Jamie. We need funding. And I do have a PayPal account. It's called info@inspectorbark.com. I'm going to say it. We have worked tirelessly on this, and we're going to continue to work tirelessly. Trust me. Okay. And these people are, like you said, Kathy, mean girls. Reputable rescues should work together and align themselves together. What bothers me is when you hear the word, oh, well, you shouldn't really bash another rescue. No, you shouldn't. If they're reputable and they're doing what's right for that animal.
Yes. Let me interject in this. That is probably the biggest thing that is blowing my mind. Why are they doing that? And I know you touched on it, Karen, but if you really think about, if they don't work together, what does that do to the community? That means more animals, less spay neuter. They ruin every program that comes in because they're going to work together to work against each other. Nobody new can come in and offer some new solutions. It just doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. And it ends up being a cluster. Okay, I can't say it.
Hey, it's your show.
But I don't want to be censored, but you all know what I'm saying. It's when you think about, okay, you got a hoarding situation. I'm going to give you an example. We got a shelter here. We've got two, they're fosters. They pull from the shelter, and the shelter knows they are hoarding. They know they are beyond the limit, but yet they do it anyway. It's like under the carpet. Mm-hmm. There's no exit plan for any of these animals. You never see them up for adoption. You never see anything. But where do they go? What happens to them?
Right.
Why aren't the ACOs going over there? Why isn't there accountability? I don't understand that. So you've got two hoarding situations, and you've got a shelter that is willing to do that. Why? Because they want the animals out of there. They're just warehousing. That's all they're doing. They certainly aren't adopting out. For the life of me, I am in the production business. I'm in the marketing business. I'm in the promotion business. I'm all for that animals that are up for adoption, especially those that have gone through some kind of rehabilitation, some kind of training, something, even if it's a prison program. Once they're up, they need an exit plan. If they're going to be transported or they're going to be adopted, people need to know their personality, what they're like, how they are in the foster. It's like the best kept secret. Once they go to foster, nobody hears from them again.
Right.
And not only that, let's talk about when these people post these sob stories, and we're seeing more and more. And one of the researchers, I'll call her a researcher, she's an ex-cop, refers to it as animal porn, because they're posting the most horrific cases of these cats or these dogs that have been abused or have been hit by a car. They post the most gruesome. And that's what this Micheline was doing. But it was over and over and over again. It's almost like you start thinking about, can all these cats really be that severely injured? Or do we have possibly another Jeffrey Dahmer on our hands? I mean, look what Jeffrey Dahmer did. He I don't know what you call that, Karen. There's a name for it, but they purposely enjoy hurting an animal. And if they're going to get reaction and get money on top of that, ooh, this might be a good gig. This is a very lucrative business. This is a very lucrative business, people, and we need to stop them, and we need to knock them off at their knees, because this, to me, is a national epidemic. We have a pandemic going on right now in our country and the world with COVID, but we also have a national epidemic coming on with these fake rescues that are fly-by-nights and using the backs of these animals. Here's what I really have a pet peeve with. I love where they say, oh, please, we need money. Please donate. It's going to cost thousands. Show the damn vet estimate.
Exactly. And then show that they actually were treated. Just because the vet gives a quote does not mean that the services were provided. You can get a quote anytime. Tell me how much it's going to cost for hip replacement. Boom. Right. They give you a quote and that's it. You need to see that it actually was done. We've got some comments here that I think, Darcy, we would, here's Marla. She says, what makes my blood boil is when they say you are hurting the animals and how many more will die. How many are now dying because they did not give you an updates? This happens every single time. It's just, and before that, I wanted to say that Ellen had written something too, which was good. This is going back to what you were talking about before. She says, dogs live in cages in hot Florida garages, and authorities tell the abusers to leave the inside door to the garage open to let the AC from their house cool the hot garage. These are abusers that hang their dogs by the throat when my neighbor and I try to take pictures of this horror. I have called every city official, animal control, and organizations, including going to city council meeting. All authorities do nothing, which here's my point on that now, Darcy. My point is that means that there are people in the community that do want to make a difference, and the laws don't allow them to do it because there is no recourse. There's nothing they can do. So it's like, you handle it. It's your problem. You found the problem, and you're on your own. There's nobody there stepping up.
You're absolutely right. And here's to Ellen Madison, what you just posted. I would love to have you on an up and coming show. We're planning to do these shows every Wednesday. Every 2 weeks. So the next one is 2 weeks from today. My goal is to have other guest speakers in addition to Karen. She's like a co-host here. But Ellen Madison, give us a comment back. I'd love to have you on a show, whether it's not the next one, maybe the one after that. Here's something I want to also piggyback on, the fact about the local officials. I will tell you, a lot of these animal control officers, some are very good, but some are also very lazy. And all they want to do is sit back and collect a damn paycheck. Well, you know what? You need to work for that paycheck. And we're seeing this on a local level, nationwide. We're seeing cops that really, there's good cops, there's bad cops that don't want to be bothered. Because if you speak to animalvictory.org, and we're going to have her on our show, one of the team members, one of the founders, and how hard they work to bring, justice to these animals, she'll tell you how a lot of these prosecutors, if they don't have the, fire in the belly to fight and bring these animal abusers to justice, then what's going to happen? Is the judge just going to give them a simple slap on the wrist, which we're seeing over and over again?
Right.
So thank you, Ellen. We'd love to have you on the show. Awesome. Let's talk about a kick-ass sheriff. Let's bring up Sheriff Wayne Ivey's picture.
Wait, you know what? Before we do that, let me pull up, because we got a whole bunch of things here that Michelle wanted to say, that she had been threatened to be sued for speaking up. I think what we want to address here, Darcy, is that those people that want to speak up, they're either threatened sometimes with bodily harm, sometimes with threat of a suit, and people don't want to be involved in a suit. So when you do get involved, they need to know that they're helped and they're protected. A local humane society, she says, a lady identified herself as owner of an endangered cat that escaped when a worker came in, charged $400 for adoption. And then she put, the cat was spayed and owner was terrorized with a supposed adopter coming from New York, a straw adopter, for a $400 adoption fee to the original owner. So things like that, there's so much to talk about. It's overwhelming, isn't it?
And I will piggyback on, I do know Michelle. She called me, Michelle Grisham, and I heard her nightmare. I know what she goes through. And yes, I have been threatened with a lawsuit. I have been in lawsuits because I don't back down. And I'll tell you what they use to hire it's a frivolous lawsuit, in my opinion. Okay. It's my opinion. But guess what? If they don't work outside of the rescue, where do you think they get the money to pay for an attorney?
Exactly.
Where?
Donation.
Yeah.
Donation dollars meant for the animals. Yep. So that's what they're going to do, because they're going to come after me and probably after these other people that are speaking their mind. Some people have gone undercover because they're afraid for their job. They're afraid for their life. I get it. Okay. I hear it all the time. Do I understand? I do. But this is why they get away with it. Now, here's where some of that money, and I'm going to really align myself. Mark my words. I was a pharmaceutical rep. I know how to sell. And I'm going to sell my Inspector Bark agency. I am going to do it. And I've got team members that need to be paid for all their hard work. Because what we need to do is we need one bucket, the first bucket, which is what I want, a bucket of money for my whistleblowers, hint, hint, Kath, whistleblowers.
Yep.
That picture.
Oh, yeah. Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
Whistle. Da-da-da-da.
Thanks,
So
Kath.
speak up. Yeah. Because
because we want that money, and we need lawyers throughout the country. And we had a case that was in November that a lawyer came to the defense of a young girl that her dog was literally stolen from this bad rescue. And they feel they can get away with it because most people don't have that money for a retainer. So all you lawyers out there, or anyone that knows a lawyer, we need help. We need for them to come forward and help us fight these rogue rescues.
Actually, we need them to be part of the team.
Yes. But they will, you know what, just like Animal Victory told me, Darcy, you need to get paid for your work. And she's right. And that's why I say, I do want to get funding. I've been doing this for 12 years. A lot of money has come out of my own pocket. And yes. I love, go back and show Sheriff Ivey. He's awesome.
Yeah, I knew you wanted to talk about him, so.
Now, Sheriff Ivey is, don't get confused, guys and ladies and gentlemen. He's in another county called Brevard County. Brevard. B-R-E, V as in Victor, A-R-D. He's up in the Melbourne area. This guy can't stand animal abusers. And he will walk them from the patrol car into the jail himself. The newest thing he's doing, I love the guy, again, Sheriff Wayne Ivey. He does fishing for fugitives. And he goes with a fishing rod, and he goes into a lake, and he's pretending to fish for a fugitive. And he tells his community, we got to find these thugs. He calls them like it is. I love him. That's a no-nonsense type of guy. So we will get him on this show because he loves exposing animal abuse.
Yeah, and he looks like a really fun, happy guy too.
He's been on my podcast before. He's been on my podcast. He's a riot. He's really funny.
Okay.
It's okay. So, Kath, go ahead, get a sip of water. Let me read this. Ellen Madison. I was threatened with a lawsuit by Rosa Fund of Animals and Humans United with Brody Shepard, also known as Barbara Smith, Barbara Queen Bee, on the phone. So let me read. I was threatened with a lawsuit by Rosa Fund. Okay, I know that name. She's down in Florida. There's been a lot of rumors circulating about Rosa Fund and her so-called rescue. There are eyes watching, and I know she could care less about me. I could care less about her, because if she is also one that's fooling the public, then we will look into her. And there are people that are concerned. She is one that uses fake profiles, allegedly. Okay, thank you, Maxine. So if this is occurring, you people, you guys really have to, come together, and I will be more than happy to have a conference call with each one of you together and give you guidance and suggestions. If these people are using donation dollars for their own personal need, we need to report them to the Florida Department of Ag. The more people that report, please, the more they will act. They need to be reported to the IRS, okay?
Absolutely. And, one of the things you can say in return to these threats of suits from these nonprofit organizations is that you are going to file a complaint with the IRS to trigger forensic accounting, to make them account for absolutely every single dollar that comes into that organization via donations. So if they're using the donation money to trigger lawsuits, they should be prepared to be audited.
Absolutely. And that's exactly why I was dragged into a lawsuit going on 4 years. And I'll say it, everybody knows it. It's not over yet, people. So whatever you're being told, that saying, it's not over till the fat lady sings, it's not over. Okay? You don't.
That lady just sung.
Nice try, ladies. Oh. But no, it's terrible. And there was a Freedom of Information Act regarding that so-called rescue. I have no respect for them. I think they're phonies, in my opinion. And I believe in karma. I believe in karma, ladies and gentlemen. You don't get away with this stuff, okay? Stop it. And more people need to submit the complaints. You can all talk on Facebook all you want, but this is where my team comes into play.
Well,
because we do act.
Darcy, let me say about that. I think a lot of the reasons why people don't come forward is because they're frightened. Plus the fact, once they get involved, it might be too much for them. There's that feeling. I did a show once on empathy for dogs, and the question was, if you see a dog that needs help, you'll take a picture, you'll take a video, but why don't you move forward? Why don't you help that animal? And the answer is because it may cost me money, or I might get involved in something and I can't take care of the animal. Not that I won't, that I won't take care of them. It's just that I can't. Why can't you? Well, I can't bring it home. I can't do this. I can't, whatever it is. So if there was a way, if there was a system, if there was something that we could offer people that said, if you do call, here's the resource that you can have, or have a place to do that, but they don't do that. Same thing holds true for being a whistleblower. If you're a whistleblower, you're going to get the arrows in your back if your identity becomes known. And what Darcy is saying is that your identity won't be known. So she will protect you. She's used to she's got so many holes right now. She's like a sieve.
Yes. Yes.
Ladies, may I interject something? There is another scenario that occurs related to why people don't come forward. Sometimes these rogue rescues have loophole contracts. And so there are people who have dealt with these rogue rescues. They have an animal or two from these rescues. And because of the loophole contract, they are threatened with losing that animal if they say anything to anyone else about how badly they are treated. So this is not an uncommon scenario, and it's one to keep in mind. The loophole contract basically holds these people with a gag order.
You're absolutely right, Karen. People will be bullied. They will be harassed. They will be shamed. And you're right, Kathy. A lot of these people don't have that backbone and they can't handle the pressure and they cave in. But a lot of these rogue rescues, what they do is they prey upon the weak. They prey upon the vulnerable. A lot of these rogue rescues will use young, innocent, young volunteers because they don't know any better. You know, as you get older, you get wiser. With age comes wisdom. And people start sitting back and start questioning. And that's what happened in my case. I started questioning going back 12 years ago. And they don't like that. Just like those questions, I should be able to find them. The questions that I asked, and this Jessica, who is the snarky little one, the puppet, as everybody calls her, and I'm going to call her that too, in my opinion, is telling me that I'm a bully because I'm asking open-ended questions. Open-ended meaning it's not a yes or a no. I mean, here's a yes or no question. Do you work outside of the rescue? I want to know. Do you hold a job? There are some very good rescues out there that work, but they've also got a rescue that they manage within their confines. They're not grabbing every cat off the street or in the alley like Love for Ferals was doing. I hope to God Michelin is probably out of jail by now, probably, because she probably had very small bond. And I hope she starts talking and singing like a canary, because trust me, I believe there's more involved. There's more people involved. And hey, whatever happened, let's talk about the $25,000 check times 2. Come on, speak up. Here's what I want to say. One more thing. Maxine Elliott. I'm sorry, Kathy. Maxine, you want the information on the DOA, the Department of Ag, okay, for Florida, and the IRS information. Go to my Inspector Bark page. Please, everybody, if you haven't already liked my Facebook page, I'm asking for a favor. Go to Inspector Bark Facebook page. Give me a like. I will get that information up to you by probably tomorrow. I've got, other things I have to tend to. Also, we will have the team from the Bad and Ugly, Dog Rescue Bad and Ugly page. We'll put up the DOA. That's Florida. That's Florida, remember. And the IRS is federal. IRS is nationwide. So we've got, different Department of Ags in the different states. Some of them don't do animal welfare. The Florida Department of Ag, if you are soliciting for donations and you're not registered, shame on you. You're soliciting for donations and you should be registered. You should be registered. So each state is different.
One of the questions that I have that I know happens all the time, and I think Lynn Gerber had related to it at one point, Darcy, why is it that there are no regulations for rescues? If you think about it, I want to adopt, I go to a rescue says, what? Well, that dog is in foster. What foster? Can I go see it? Do they do a meet and greet? What's their process? How do they do things? I don't understand why they don't put the process. It's not transparent. It's so wishy-washy and loosey-goosey. And the rescues, I belong to a number of groups and they share with each other how they do things. But the rogue rescues are the ones that have no accountability. And they're the ones with the biggest talkers about all the complaints that are going on. So I don't get it. Maybe you can address that, Karen.
Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry. I had
the question is, why are there no regulations? Why are there no standards? Why are there no laws regulating rescues?
That's absolutely an excellent question. I think some states certainly are ahead of the game and other states are very far behind. In the state of Alaska, we have virtually nothing. So when you begin to look into these issues, it varies state by state. But why is it that we don't have federal regulations? We need an overarching umbrella to encompass this issue across the nation. Do we really want this to get as bad as it is in the UK? In the UK, it is so bad at this point. There are certain parts of England you cannot even walk your dog down the street because a rescue will come and try to steal it from you.
Well, that's happening here too. That's happening here.
I'm sorry to hear that. It's on a very large scale, unfortunately, in the UK. Seems like crime hits the UK first and it trickles down to the United States. However, what do we do about these things? We have to regulate. The lack of regulation is what is allowing this to occur. The good rescues are not needing regulation because they have ethics. The bad
Right.
rescues
And accountability.
Yes, they are accountable because they have a moral compass. They are driven by something other than greed. They are driven by actual animal welfare. The bad
Mhm.
rescues are driven by hoarding, greed, and acrimony. They actually enjoy, these personality types enjoy acrimony, fighting, disagreements.
Mhm. They're
And they
bullies.
want control. They like to control
Yes.
people, and they're
Yes.
practicing with the customers who come to them. They're practicing controlling people to do what they want related to their animal rescue or their other goals, financial goals. And that's, we need to regulate when people cannot use their values to act appropriately. That means we have to have some sort of intervention, and regulation is the only thing, in my opinion, that is going to begin to stop this issue. These rescues are popping up everywhere, especially with COVID-19.
These fly-by-nights, these
Right.
Absolutely.
illegitimate. Yeah. So let's make sure, because there are some great reputable rescues out there.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the work that I do, I don't hear of those that often. I'm glad, when I
But
do hear of,
we should do kudos to those that are doing it. And so let's keep that in mind, Darcy. When you
yes,
do run across a good one, let's identify them and let's say, uh, this is what a good rescue looks like. Do we have a model? Karen, do we have a model of what a good
And
rescue looks like?
I absolutely love that you mentioned this, because yes, we do. In Alaska,
Yay!
we have this very unique reptile rescue. If you can imagine, in the frozen north, we have a reptile rescue. And this rescue has been nominated for a business award in its local community. They don't even have complaints. The rescue is a place where school children visit to look at the reptiles and learn how they're handled. It is a loving, absolutely contributing member of the community. And when you
that's
see
nice.
that, it's the polar opposite of these problems we're talking about. Why is it that a rescue really that doesn't have any more money, any more contact, any more anything, why is it so successful and so positive in a community? Well, it has to do with the people who are running it. The
Absolutely.
people who are running it are community members, and they like people.
Community education, that's another point too.
Yes.
Rescues do not engage in community education, and think of all the tools that are available now, particularly with social media and live broadcasting and things like we're doing right now. That so much could be done just by having a production on educating the community, just on how to choose a proper rescue, because you can
Yes.
get involved in a rescue where you adopt an animal and that animal has parvo and you incur a major cost because of it. You try and get that animal taken care of and you want the rescue to incur the cost. They say no, and then they disappear and they don't respond.
Right.
The animal dies, you're stuck with the bill, and all of a sudden you can't get a hold of them for whatever reason. There's no accountability. It's sad.
It's very sad. And
Yes.
you're absolutely right. No accountability. And I like, Karen, I use that term also about the moral compass. These rogue rescues, their moral compass is upside down. And when you see the people that support these, what I consider rogue rescues, they're just as rude. I mean, they're rude
Yeah.
individuals.
They are. They are birds of a feather, unfortunately, flocking together.
They do.
And what to do about that? Well, I would hope that the good rescues would limit association with these rogue rescues. That's one of the things you can do to protect yourself, is to limit association. You don't need sick animals coming in, ruining your own population when you're running an ethical rescue. And then number two, we need to encourage the public. Please do not donate to these rogue rescues. There are ethical, excellent rescues out there who can handle these animals, and the animals will be treated well. But if you support these rogue rescues with your dollars, it's nothing but contributing to misery for animals.
Absolutely.
Well, let me ask a question here now on the rogue rescue thing. If you have a rescue in your area and you know that it's rogue and you're still working with them, is the reason because you don't want to, if you're a reputable one, is the reason because you figure, well, at least they're doing something to help the animals in the area, but are they really, if they're not accountable? So how do you get a reputable rescue to look at those that are not so, that are actually out and out unethical? How do you do that and have them take action?
Well, here's a problem. I'm sorry, Karen. Here's a problem, and I deal with people from all over this country, and they will tell me, Darcy, I can't afford for my name or my rescue to be put out there. So what I do is I have people sign a confidentiality agreement with me that I will not release their name or their rescue's name. Provide me with the information and I'll run with it. Because what will happen is these reputable rescues, they will come on the attack. They'll make up stories. I have a situation in North Carolina. This guy pretends he's a dog trainer. You don't have to be registered. You don't have to be licensed in that state, and many, to say you're a dog trainer. So anyone can create a website or a blog and say who they want to be. This guy is a horrible human being. And what he does is he threatens, which he's been threatening the vet in the local area. He's been threatening all these other people that speak up, and he sends them private messages. And guess what word he calls these women? The worst word ever. Okay. So these are lowlifes that have decided that they're going to use the backs of these animals to use to self-profit. And then you report them, and then the police are afraid to go near them because they're batshit crazy. Right. They don't want to deal with them. So it's just a constant Ferris wheel, but you've got to be persistent, people. So just sending one email is not going to cut it. This is constant persistence. Right. And you've got to stay on them. And if you need to talk to me about anything and you really want to be kept anonymous, that's fine. But if you want a confidentiality agreement between yourself and myself, we will work that. You break that confidentiality agreement, then I have the right to sue you.
Okay, now here's something, Darcy, that I know that you wanted to talk about, and if we had time, but I think we should bring it up. So even if we do it in next one, this is from Ellen. She says, please invite Tammy Barrett to tell Luke's story. They desperately need donations in their ongoing court case. For the Love of Paw Rescue is doing everything to do everything for the judges to do continuances to drain Tammy and Jerry not to be able to pay their continuing attorney fees. You might want to talk about just in general what that is about, and we'll do that on the next show. Okay.
Can I touch on that right now, though?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why I said, yeah. Go ahead on that.
Can you bring that back up again? Because this woman is a rock star, in my opinion. Ellen Madison, what we're going to do is, when this whole fiasco with what poor Tammy and Jerry are going through is a disgrace. In my opinion, for the Love of Paw is...
Well, tell them what happened. Tell them what happened.
I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get to it. But I also think that, Kath, if you could put up the Facebook page, Return Luke.
Okay, let me go get it.
Take your time, man. I want to make sure that I think it's returnluke.com.
Return Luke home. I got it.
Thank you. I want that up while I'm talking. Ellen Madison, I think you're a rock star. You have really stepped up to the plate to help this wonderful couple. Tammy was referred to me a few Saturdays ago. I'll never forget it. I got a private message from Tammy. I'll tell the story in a minute. And this woman was begging for me to call her. Saturday night, 5 o'clock. I said, I'm free. I take calls from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for anybody that needs to speak to me. My phone number is on my business card. You can contact me. But this poor woman and her significant other, Jerry, all they wanted to do, look at this beautiful picture that Kathy brought up. This woman fell in love with this dog, Luke. Jerry, her significant other, would always see Luke laying on the side of the road, just laying there because of an irresponsible pet owner. The dog looked like he was continually deteriorating. He's an older dog. He had horrible teeth. He had horrible skin conditions. Jerry finally says something to his boss. The boss says, you know what? Go ask the owner. The owner, and okay, he's irresponsible owner, but he's helping with a certain situation. And Jerry goes and says, hey, buddy, can I have your dog? Guy says, sure. So what did Jerry do? The right thing he did was have the dog signed over to him. It's called a surrender form, people. He had the dog surrender to him. Tammy wasn't even involved at this time. Now, I don't want to make sure, I may be off a little bit on the story, but however, Jerry had connections with For the Love of a Paw, and talk about hiding comments and deleting comments. They're known for that. You can also see their story on The Bad and Ugly in the World of Pets, and go, please, to Return Luke Home Facebook. The story's all there. Jerry had helped in the past when he would see a dog or dogs roaming the street, very poverty-stricken area. And he would call this one particular woman up for Love for the Paw, and she would come and pick the dog up at the place of work where Jerry works. He never saw the one location where the dogs were kept. And one other time, correct me if I'm wrong, Tammy, if you're listening, please correct me and write it in the comments. He had even gone to the one rescue they have. It's the cat rescue in the town. So they list and tell their followers that their rescue is at this one location, a brick, looks like a brick home, but the dogs were being kept in another area. And there was all this garbage piled up on top and furniture piled on top, donations. And this is how you treat your donations. You just throw them in the porch and let the weather get to them. So Jerry realizes, oh my God, look at where these dogs are kept. And the dog, Luke, had actually escaped not once, but twice from this location. So now Jerry decides, I'm going to keep the dog. Okay, we're going to foster him. The dog needs medical attention. He reaches out to the rescue thinking community support, right? You're going to support your community. You're a rescue. Jerry and Tammy decide, hey, we've got 5 dogs. This might be a little bit expensive. The dog needed medical attention. Maybe a reputable rescue would help us. So the rescue says, sure, we'll start up a fundraiser for Luke. And they raised money with donation dollars from kind, generous people. And Jerry and Tammy would be, in my opinion, a foster that every reputable rescue would love. They were concerned. They sent questions. They sent comments. They said, Luke is limping his leg. Did he get injured as he escaped the second time? So that now maybe they're considered to some irresponsible, illegitimate rescues as being pain in the asses. So now this Brandy, I think her name is Brandy, Beach, I think, right? Brandy Beach. She starts saying, this may not be a good fit, and starts trying to discredit them. And I believe what happened is Tammy was taking this dog an hour away, 45 minutes away, to the rescue that Brandy, Love for a Paw, wanted them to use. So she would drive, she'd stay in town, loved on this dog, bonded with this dog. What reputable rescue would not want it any other way? That's what you want for the dog, right?
Right.
You want the best for the dog. Well, it wasn't that. Here's what happened. They, I believe, decided, okay, let's send Tammy to the vet an hour away, 45 minutes away. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tell the vet, that's our dog, and the dog's not going back to Tammy and Jerry. They got a kick-ass attorney out of Charleston, South Carolina. And forgive me, Tammy, if you're writing, send me his name, Ted. He is the guy, all you animal advocates out there, that prosecuted the guy that wrapped the duct tape around the dog's nose 4 years ago. And he ended up adopting that dog. What was her name? Caitlin, with a C, Caitlin. See, my memory is all up here, you guys. But I can't remember Ted's last name. And forgive me, Ted, you're an awesome attorney. And thank you for fighting for the
Corvey.
Thank you, Tammy. So Tammy and Jerry, please, everybody, listen to what Ellen said. They need help. They need to fight the fight. And this is what they do. And she's so right, Ellen. They continue on with the lawsuit, which in turn costs Tammy and Jerry money.
Right.
So if everybody, please go to Return Luke Home, go to that Facebook page, like it, and please, please, please donate, okay? I've donated personally. I believe in this couple. I have even spoken to Brandy, okay? She was referred to me, and I said, I will hear your side. And I will tell you, what they have done to this couple, what they have done to Luke, is a disgrace to the reputable rescue community out there. And Love for the Paw, if you're hearing me, shame on you. Shame on your disgusting, in my opinion, attorney that if you go to her Facebook page, you want to see the bad comments about her, return your phone calls, attorney, and return your emails. Okay. She should be ashamed of herself. But then again, these people align themselves with this type of element. Return Luke to the rightful owners.
Darcy,
thank you.
May I interject?
Of course.
So I know that people may find it surprising that this animal was snatched from a vet visit. However, I want to assure the public that this is not uncommon. These rogue rescues have done this in our area to the extent are now banned from our SPCA for spay and neuter because they've created situations where people, fosters who are in the process of adopting, they're supposed final leg of adoption, take the animal to the SPCA to get it spayed or neutered, and the rescue shows up, creates a scene, and snatches the animal. So what happened to Tammy and Jerry, unfortunately, is a pattern with these rogue rescues. And I can't encourage people enough to support this couple. This is an absolutely terrible situation, a wonderful home. Any rescue would love to have these folks have one of their animals.
Amen. Amen. Yes.
We donate and support this couple. It is an important issue. It sets a precedence also.
Let me stop you right there. Go back. Kath, I need your help. You blocked somebody, and I'm glad you blocked her, but let's bring up her previous post. Scroll up, Kath. Let's talk about, let me read it, Kathy. This is woman, you'll see this, Karen. So happy to see you have all of 20 people watching your precious rescue bashing show. It must really boost your confidence that you have so many supporters. This is one of the bullies that is supporting, in my opinion, a rogue rescue. So Cynthia, I'm sorry that you were blocked by the producer, but you deserve to be. And if you want to associate with people like this and your snarky comments, your true colors are showing, honey. So you just continue to bash those that are speaking the truth and only care about the animal's well-being. Your true colors are shining, honey.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, there is the evidence of the psychological profile right there. Why would any rescue argue related to abuse and neglect?
Exactly. Yeah. And want to bash Darcy for doing something about it.
Absolutely.
Yes, right.
And meanwhile, we just got on the video from the news, right? Thank you, Gigi. You're right. She is just as guilty. Yeah. Thank you, Gigi. You see the woman, this Michelin, and believe it or not, they do have other footage that she was in that rescue house that's called a hospital. Oh, okay, right. That was having sex, as I mentioned earlier. You've got her thug boyfriend, no shirt on, grabbing a cigarette, and you support this? Gina allowed her to live there. So Cynthia, you can talk bad about me all you want, okay? This is a recording and it will go viral because you are just as guilty as these other people that are defending this horrible, horrible situation where animals have suffered, okay? In my opinion, Saving Sage Animal Rescue Foundation, in my opinion, you should be shut down as well. You carried on this facade a long time.
Absolutely. And that's what it is. It's built on lies and deception. And Darcy, you and I talked about how trolls work. For those of you that don't know how trolls work, let's say you've got social media is brutal, folks. They will go after you. All you have to do is come up with a logical explanation for something, and it could be false. Let's say it is false. As soon as social media, they believe it to be gospel. All you need is another person that will come along and say, I agree with you. And that's where it starts. It could be totally false. And then you find yourself in a defensive mode saying, well, no, it really isn't true. It isn't true. But you're lost already. And trolls work in teams. They work at least two, sometimes four, and they will attack whatever it is that you're saying, no matter what it is. And they lose sight of exactly what, if you're there trying to defend an animal being abused, they're going to defend why that animal was abused, or they offend the abuser.
Right.
Which is craziness.
Right. But here's craziness. Even Charles Manson had followers and admirers. Okay. Even the guy that did the shooting in Colorado during the Batman premiere was getting gifts and wanting women wanting to marry him. We live in a sick society. So, you know, the real people in rescue, and I've heard from them, they say, Darcy, I can't understand this. How can this happen? I can't wrap my head around it. Even the reporter said that. Because these people are not in it for the animals. And they don't want to believe you, you guys. It's almost like you're raining on their parade.
Right.
You're distorting an illusion. And when you tell them the truth, they don't want to believe you. I was told by somebody who's probably listening, and she sent me a beautiful message earlier, and she said, over the weekend, she said, you're not really a PI? And I said, does the Secretary of State of Georgia going to lie about my license? It's right on my Inspector Bark Facebook page. I have to give my license. Every correspondence, I have to give my license. And I'm so thrilled now that I have my detective agency. But we need help. We need funding to fight these bullies, like the Cynthia Clements. She should be ashamed of herself to come on. But this is the type of caliber that we're dealing with. I call them, in my opinion, got to say my opinion, because their lawyers are probably, they're bottom feeders. They're bottom feeders. And they have used, they have found a way to use these animals to make money off of.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Karen, I know that you have been involved personally in a lot of these areas, but what I'm still pushing towards is there a way that we can come up with some kind of at least checklist for somebody to know whether a rescue is a good rescue or not? I don't think people really know.
I think we are working on that. There are a few publications that talk about the signs of rogue rescues. And the benefit of these publications is that we can begin to identify the good rescues. But the flip side is the good rescues can use those characteristics as arguments against being attacked. If you are a good, reputable rescue, you don't do the same things that these disreputable rescues do. And listen, folks, we aren't bashing good rescues here. We are not bashing rescue. We are bashing rogue rescues.
Yes.
They deserve to be bashed.
Unethical.
They're just unethical. They're non-transparent. Mm-hmm. They're not putting money toward the animals the way that they are portraying to the public. And they treat people and animals terribly. There's nothing rescue about them. They only have a title and possibly a nonprofit status. Mm-hmm. So as we begin to go forward with this issue, we are going to be developing more checklists so that people can wade through to find a good rescue. And the other thing people can do is to donate to the good rescues. That allows them to handle more animals, and it allows them not to have these animals go to these bad organizations.
Very well said. And on top of that, we are creating a team nationwide, and we are creating a team, but we need the help, the financial support, people, okay? Because trust me, I've told a couple of people, I'm no doubt I'm going to get a cease and desist. And guess what I'm going to do with that cease and desist? I am going to submit, I'm going to plaster it, show my attorneys, but I'm going to plaster it on social media. I am. You want to come after me? You better open up those books, because I can guarantee you that there's a lot of misappropriation of funds. And we've got good lawyers now that are coming onto the scene that really want to do right for the animals.
It's an absolute badge of honor when you're
Thank you.
One of these
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, there's one person here. Hey, Edith. She wants to know, who is Kathy? That's me, Kathy Tarchioni. It's Tarchioni. Everyone has a hard time saying it. I'm the producer of the show, and we also have 5 other shows that we produce. Inspector Bark happens to be one of them. I'm on this show because I have a personal interest, so that's why I'm the co-host of it. And Darcy has gracefully allowed me to participate in what she's talking about, because I have a lot to say.
Yes, you do.
So
you do.
That's it.
Oh, and on one note, you were going to give out your email, because people, if they want to discuss both sides, they don't want to give it to me. So you have an email that you wanted to
I'll
share.
put it here.
I'm just going to go stop my camera for a minute and fill up more water. Okay. I'll be right
well,
back.
we're pretty much done here, Darcy. We're gone an hour and 40 minutes. So I think we're just going to wrap up the show because we've got another show in 2 weeks and we've got a lot to talk about. So why don't we do that before you go? And Karen, do you have anything you want to say before we close?
Other than I want to encourage Darcy and her team to continue. This is a very important mission. I believe that we will absolutely make an impact. And I believe as we educate the public, we are going to increase safety for animals and people. And that really is the end goal.
Okay. One more thing here. This is an absolute excellent idea, Coco.
I love it.
Coco says there should be an Inspector Bark approved rescue status and digital badge. If rescues meet the good rescue criteria, they can put the badge on their website to help identify the good ones they should donate.
I love that. I love that.
Yes.
Thank you, Coco. I don't know who that is. So if somebody's thinking that's me, or I don't know who Coco is. But thank you, Coco.
Coco is on our team. He's part of the picture moment too.
Thank you, Coco. That's very nice. I love that. I want to help people. And more importantly, I want to help these animals. We have to be the voice. And I don't want the general public to be scammed. Trust me when I tell you, there are people out there that are on fixed income, Medicare, Medicaid, but they'll give their last $5 to help an animal in need. Wouldn't it be a disgrace if you found out that that $5 was going toward a manicure or a pedicure or drinks at the bar? Shame on you. That money is meant, every penny of it, for the animals. Do I believe in a non-for-profit 501c3 taking a salary? Absolutely. But you document it, okay? You document it. I do believe that they should be compensated because they are working the reputable rescues. But my God, don't take money from these good, kind people. And please, people, if you believe in my cause, info@inspectorbark.com PayPal, and we need.
I put that in there already. Okay, so
yes. Wait, back up. She's absolutely right, Gigi. Yeah, I bet so. Yeah, that's the internet for you. Good point.
Yeah, right.
Good point.
Okay, all right, everyone. What a great show! Thank you so much, Darcy. As always, you did a wonderful thing. Karen, plethora of information, always very good. We're going to see you in 2 weeks, and we're going to continue this conversation because, unfortunately, folks, it's never ending. I do like the idea of us coming up with solutions. So let's all work together to be solution providers in how to get these rescues into a situation. I would imagine that the good rescues would be very happy to be involved with other good rescues. They just don't know what to look for.
Right.
So
the email, if anybody wants to contact and talk to Kathy, the producer, it's Kathy@pictureamoment.com. Kathy@pictureamoment.com. So go ahead and send the fake blog if you want to Kathy that I was Baker acted in 2017. Go ahead and do that. I wasn't Baker acted in 2017, but go ahead. You'll probably get some of those. Just want to warn you.
That's okay.
What they say about me, Darcy.
Oh, listen, that's another whole 2-hour show, sister.
Yeah, right. Okay, everyone. Thanks so much. It was a great show. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
You got it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.